So, in the fragrance reviewing and enthusiast niche on this website, who apparently are also called fragheads, great name by the way, I could dig it, there exists a channel run by Philip Carter, and he does all of the normal stuff. He'll smell something, tell you if he recommends it or not, tell you what it smells like, and apparently if you were to join his Patreon, you would be eligible to win a free fragrance in a giveaway. And this was all well and good, if this was all above board, this seems like something nobody could get mad at. It's just a guy helping people make informed decisions.
Keyword if.
Because apparently, this guy right here is being accused of defrauding $15,000 worth of fragrances from Nordstrom. Now, the plan this guy cooked up is actually pretty simple. I feel like he could have gotten away with this if he just didn't do it as many times as he did in the short amount of time that he did. Maybe should have used a fake name in there once or twice. Either way, I'm going to tell you this plan right now. So, Nordstrom is a big department store chain. They sell the luxury stuff at Nordstrom, and at Nordstrom Rack, that's where the budget items are. And like a lot of big retailers, when you return an item to them, they will send you your money back before they check if what you returned was tampered with or is even the right item. And this Philip Carter guy allegedly, keep in mind this is all alleged, he has not been convicted yet, tried to exploit this by ordering a bunch of fragrances from Nordstrom and doing whatever he would do with them, and then sending back tampered merchandise. And according to the arrest report, the specifics are he would send back either completely empty bottles, bottles filled with an unknown liquid, I really hope it was water, or my personal favorite, he would take the boxes that the bottles were in and replace the bottles with clay. I like to imagine he's there sitting at his desk meticulously modeling this clay sculpture to look exactly like the bottle that he's trying to steal. And he's got a little scale making sure that the sculpture weighs exactly as much as the bottle. Now, I do have a question. It says here he would send the bottles back, but he would replace the fragrance in them with unknown liquid. So where did he put the actual fragrance? Did he just get like a random spray bottle from the dollar store and he started using that for himself? I'm just speculating though. Anyways, as simple as this plan is, he actually got away with it a few times. So his first foray into perfume thievery, he decided to place an order from Nordstrom for $11,915, and that gave him 39 fragrances. Man, this dude really came out swinging for the fences. Spoilers for the rest of this thing, neither of the other subsequent orders come anywhere close to this amount. So anyways, these things show up at his doorstep, and then he works his magic on the merchandise, and then a little bit later, he calls up Nordstrom and he says, "Hey y'all, I would like to return some fragrances that I bought from y'all. I was going to give them as gifts, but quote, nobody wanted them." According to the arrest record, that is the actual excuse he gave to the Nordstrom staff as to why he was returning them. He said, "Yeah, I bought 39 bottles of whatever to give to people as gifts, and every single time they were like, ew, no thank you." But it did work. Nordstrom was just like, "No problem, G, just send everything back, we'll give you your refund." And so Philip did just that, and it wasn't until after Nordstrom gave him a full refund for everything that he purchased that they realized, we got a problem here, we got scammed. So this dude made out like a bandit, because he basically is one, and you figure he'd be just fine with the stash that he's acquired, but no, he decides, I'm gonna do it again. So in March, he orders even more from Nordstrom. Granted, he did significantly decrease the total amount of stuff he was trying to go for. This time it was just $2,145 for 8 fragrances, which I suppose is a little bit easier to get away with, but I don't know, that's still $2K, man. And what makes it worse is this dude was going to try to physically return this most recent batch at his local store.
In March, investigators say Carter went back online. This time he purchased 8 fragrances in the amount of $2,145. Like clockwork, he wanted to return them. But this time, the report revealed video of Carter driving here to the Old Orchard Mall in Skokie and walking into the Nordstrom. Yet sales associates opened the fragrances in front of Carter and observed they had been tampered and referred Carter to contact the customer service line.
I don't know if Nordstrom banned him from returning things via mail after his first attempt or something. Why would he return this at the store? That's like the worst way to go about this. Now, surprisingly, he actually does manage to return 3 of the items, so I guess he just did an especially good job with the hot glue gun resealing those boxes. So he's like, okay, I'll take what I can get, and then he's on his merry way. Now, by this point, he has tried to return 2 different batches of perfumes and colognes and whatever. So you think by now he's placed like 2 orders, but I'm not joking. The day before he hits up the mall to try and return this stuff, he places a 3rd order from Nordstrom. The actual day before he does the thing at the mall. How impatient do you have to be, man? This is absurdly brazen. You're starting your next operation before you're finishing your current one. Now this time, he did bump the total back up a bit to $3,085 for the grand gargantuan total of 4 fragrances. Dude, what bottles did he buy this last time? I hope he got some good ones for that price. Anyways, 3 days after the incident at the mall, he calls up the Nordstrom customer service. He starts trying to return the rest of that batch that cost $2,000 that he tried returning at the mall and was unsuccessful in doing so. It is unclear if any progress was made in that regard, but you know who was making progress? The Cook County Organized Retail Crime Unit. You see, sometime in March, surprisingly, I can't give you an exact timeline for this part. For some reason, none of the articles really state exactly when this call took place. My guess is it was shortly after the first incident, because I highly doubt Nordstrom was going to take an $11,000 loss lying down. Anyways, Nordstrom called the Popo saying, hey, we've got some suspicious activity over here, and they start working on this case and eventually find their prime suspect in, wouldn't you know it, the guy who sent them clay instead of the products he was supposed to be returning. So they start hatching this scheme to catch this guy finally, and they have officially dubbed their little plan Operation Eau de Fraud. So after all of this, they're able to get a search warrant for Philip's apartment, and on July 22nd, they show up there and arrest him. And coincidentally, that is the day of Philip's birthday. Yeah, I think this guy has me beat. I've had quite a few birthdays where I've been in the hospital with some random illness that decides it would be extremely funny if it got me super sick on the anniversary of my birth. But the police have never shown up on that day, thankfully. I really hope I didn't jinx anything by saying that. Also, is this black thing right here supposed to be the hot glue gun? I've never once seen one that looks like that. It looks like one of those little handheld vacuums that you use to suck wax out of your ears. So the cops raid Philip's house, and they say they're able to find not only his setup that he used to scam the Nordstrom with the hot glue gun and then properly, meticulously resealed boxes, but they also find his massive fragrance collection that totaled like $250,000, and it's like 714 fragrances. Now, I am not a frag head, truly. I am very much a layman when it comes to scents, but you figure, doesn't this stuff expire? I just looked it up, and Molton Brown's website says fragrances are good for like 3 to 5 years depending on how they're formulated. But man, one bottle of cologne lasts me a pretty long while. I feel like you couldn't even properly enjoy all of those scents with that many to choose from. I don't even think I've been to a department store with that expansive of a collection of fragrances. Granted, I'm not sitting there counting all the bottles that are on the shelves, but man, that's a lot. This comment here says it's not even that uncommon for these scent tubers to have mountains of this stuff. This reminds me of that one girl during that whole DoorDash glitch fiasco. She ordered quote-unquote a lifetime supply of birth control. The girl, that's going to expire before you get to use even close to half of it. You've wasted money and you played yourself. Anyways, they took Philip into custody and he got charged with 3 counts of mail fraud and 3 counts of deception, which means his max sentence is 18 years of prison. Highly doubt he's going to get that. I'd be surprised if he gets even 5 years. And he was actually granted pre-trial release, albeit with the condition he has to stay away from Nordstrom. He cannot touch those stores. And also Ulta Beauty, he cannot touch that one either. Now, you'll see in the headlines from different places, YouTuber stole $250,000 from Nordstrom. They're saying that because that's the total value of his fragrance collection. However, we only know of him stealing 15 or 16K from Nordstrom. The investigators are still trying to figure out if he stole more and we just didn't realize it, or maybe it was from another retailer, or maybe the rest of those in that collection were bought earnestly. We don't know. Alright, so that covers all of the developments of this story as of recording. Earlier we mentioned that he would give away fragrances to Patreon members. Do you think he was actually giving those away, or do you think it was just a lie to get people to sign up? And what are some of your favorite fragrances? Drop them in the comments. We can introduce each other to new scents. And if you would like more fragrance related videos from this channel, surprisingly, there's actually another one where we talk about some really weird scents that for some reason you can actually buy.